cycle of human perspective.
Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, we have an interesting one here. This is going to be my recorded version of what I tried to do live a little bit ago, and the stream quality was just so poor. I just wanted to redo it. So this one is about a QHHT session and about the new Earth and other things, the Ascension, and even some stuff about Trump. Now, one of my subscribers actually left a comment, and I want to thank you for that. I can't remember who actually left the link for me. I like to do a shout out, but whenever someone leaves a link, it goes into spam, and when you okay that, then it goes back out of there and you can't see it anymore. And I looked through the videos and I couldn't find it, so I apologize for not giving credit where credit is due. But on this coming on the heels of the Allison Co. When she was on with Dan from Talk is Cheap, and also on the hills of Angela and her messages from her son Christopher, who had passed away, about some of the new Earth changes coming. I wanted to cover this, not only this post, but my ideas about the QHHT, because I mentioned it before that I'd love to have a QHHT practitioner in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area that is trying to get in there because they have to do 10 or 20 or something hypno sessions. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to get that done, but I'm not sure. I know there's level 1, 2, and 3, and maybe someone can explain this in the comments below that they're familiar with the QHHT process. But I know Dolores Cannon spoke about when she would do her session, she would get the person so deep that they wouldn't remember. And for those that saw the show with Dan from Talk is Cheap, he was saying how he recalled a lot of his information, and I've heard that from a lot of other people. So when you look at these QHHT sessions and the information from them, if they didn't get all the way to that super deep level that Dolores Cannon spoke about, it could be colored a little bit from the person's own biases and their conscious mind if they in fact weren't so far deep that they didn't recall what was happening. Then they might have answered questions in their own conscious mind. And this is not, I'm not trying to put anybody down, the practitioner or the person being hypnotized by any means. I am just saying that it's important to take that into consideration, because when I read some of this information I'm going to be presenting here, some of it I thought might have been answered by the person. I'll let you make your own choices when I read this, but I know a lot of the QHHT sessions will line up, but some of them have different perspectives on it, and some of the stuff seems like it might be contradictory with other QHHT sessions. And when I realized that not all QHHT practitioners get everyone to that super unconscious state to answer questions, it made me wonder how much of the information is 100% reliable. So I'm just posing some questions that sort of came to my mind. I still want to share the information. I actually want to share a tidbit here from Dolores Cannon. In case you're not familiar with her, she is the one that came up with the QHHT, which stands for Quantum Healing Hypnosis Therapy. And let me play this little part that she talks about what I was just explaining.
So that's why I've developed my own technique. I work in the deepest possible level of trance, the somnambulistic level. A lot of my hypnotists say they won't work there. They're afraid to work there. They said strange things happen there. Well, if anybody's read my books, you know strange things happen there. And they're afraid to handle it, so they'd rather just stay.
Thanks for the subscription from Hopkins there. I appreciate that. Now notice she said that a lot of her practitioners don't want to work at that super deep level. And I think that might be what's happening. I don't know if it's the level that you're at, because like I said, there's level 1, 2, and 3 practitioners. So I don't know if you have to get a level 3 to get to that deep level. But let me carry on a little bit further here.
Stay away from it. But to me, working in the somnambulistic level, you shut out the conscious mind altogether. The conscious mind interference is always there in the lighter levels. If a lot of you have had sessions, you know, you'll come out of it, you'll say, I remember everything that went on. I think I made it up. It was silly. I saw it in a movie or I read it in a book. There's a lot of doubt, and the conscious mind is sitting there jabber, jabber, jabber. Well, suppose you could shut that out, and the person doesn't remember anything when they wake up. They are out of the picture. The conscious mind is completely gone, and we go directly to the part that has the answers. That's where I work. I want to work in the somnambulistic level with no conscious mind interference at all.
And that is that's precisely what I wanted to talk about. To take into consideration, because that's what Dan spoke about when he was on. He says, you know, be careful not to get your hopes up about the whole process, because, you know, you do have those doubts, like she was just saying there, where you're like, did I make it up? Did it, you know, was it something that just came to my mind, or was it something that was naturally, you know, and I completely understand. That's why if I do it, I would want to definitely not remember anything and have to re-listen to the whole session afterwards to even know what was even said. So, and I think I'd be a good candidate for going to those deeper levels. I know my daughter at her graduation party said that she got hypnotized there on the spot, and the guy had her doing really funny stuff, and all the classmates were laughing, and she had to have them tell her about it afterwards. She didn't recall anything at all, and that was while she's standing up and walking around and doing funny stuff. And I couldn't believe it, because I've seen that before, but I didn't, you know, coming from my own daughter, I know she wasn't lying about it, and she said it was kind of weird and stuff, and I was like, that is kind of weird that you wouldn't remember in a room full of people and everything. And he was able to get her under pretty quick, and I was actually surprised they would do that at a high school graduation party. But this is the website I'm going to be reading the information from, and links are in the description. But I'm not familiar with this hypnotherapist, but she does use the QHHT method. I'm not sure if she gets the clients to that deep level or not. I mean, I'd like to know, because like I said, you just don't know. I'd like to know. I think if it was the person didn't remember and they got beyond that conscious mind, that the information will be much more reliable. Okay, so the first one I wanted to bring out is, and this is the one that somebody left a link to in the description, and thank you so much. This was so mind-blowing when I read it. So this one here is an update on Ascension, the event frequency shift, the new Earth information through QHHT. And as you see here, the practitioner's name is Marilyn, and this wasn't even quite 2 months ago. So this was in December of 2017. And it reads, I often have clients come for QHHT sessions asking about the event, shift, ascension, fifth dimension. You know, that thing that's supposed to be happening that we're all waiting for? This is an update on information I posted earlier in my blog article, which you can find through link. Let's see, and this is on the same website, but if you wanted to read the original one, you can. It's right there. I'm all ears when I get to ask the big question. Some people not only want to know when, they also want to know what it will be like. What will we experience? I've heard several different answers to this question, but I think this one was the most visceral I've come across. I've blogged about the event information I've received in the past, and I promised then to keep you updated on any new material I've had come through my sessions here. And this is the website. Like I said, the link is below. A recent client most definitely wanted a time frame for this event. Whatever it is. Let's see. Sorry, I lost my place. This male professional excels in his field. He is very well respected for his knowledge, experience, and skill, not only in the company he has worked many years for, but also provincially, and probably on a national level as well. He is one of the top few in his profession and has enjoyed his work but has never thought much about metaphysics, spirituality, or even what's labeled conspiracy theories until just a few short years ago when he awakened to all this. Since then, he has experienced many synchronicities in his life. He has even been seeing UFOs on a regular basis. This awakening has turned his life 180 degrees. So when I asked this question about this event, what we on Earth would experience and when we could expect it to occur, his higher consciousness said, "It will be like a beam of light frequency from the center of the universe that will encompass the Earth and penetrate everything right down to the very core of the Earth. This light will encompass the Earth for a few days. Its brightness will be so overwhelming, people will be blinded by it." The client told me later what he was shown was like a very bright fog and people won't be able to see their hand in front of their face. I asked if this bright fog would even be present indoors. He said yes, it's inescapable. Now, before I go to this next part, I wanted to share something, and this was the whole reason why I was like, I got to share this, because while I was reading this, was this not only so much in line with what Allison Coe said in her QHHT session that she shared with Dan on Talk is Cheap, but while I was reading this, it happened 3 times where I got ringing in my ears, and it wasn't the regular, like, sort of a ring that fades away. It was almost like a ring that sort of when it faded away, it changed in pitch. So it was like, ee. It's really weird. Never experienced any kind of ringing like that. In fact, I drank a bunch of water a few minutes before that, and I'm like, man, am I just being hydrated? Is it a health thing, or is it really some kind of, I don't know. It was like my bells and whistles were going off, so to speak. So I just wanted to share that because it was just strange. It was definitely worth sharing. Okay, so you said it's inescapable. Everyone will experience this, and many people will be afraid and panic. What they need to do is to calm down and sit in meditation. As the fear subsides and they regain their rationality, they will sense a door appear. Now notice it said sense a door appear and not really see a door appear, because this sounds strange when the way it's worded here, but keep that in mind that it says sense and not see. He said later he was shown something that looked like a black line that arched like a rounded top doorway. This was the door. This door would appear close to the person, and there would be many doorways appear near what sounds like all people. What people need to do, he said, is literally feel their way to that door when they see it. Now there he's saying see it, but it might be sense it. So feel the edges of the door and then pull it open. Once open, it will be bright on the other side of the door, but not as bright as where they were. They need to go through that door to another dimension. And it says fifth question mark. This is what we will experience, just going through the doorway to a place where things that we struggle with today will not even matter. It is very important not to go into fear mode, though, when this happens, especially for those who are awake and aware of this event. They are needed to stay calm so those around who may not know what is happening to them can be calm and follow those who know what to do. Still, all in all, there will be those who are too overcome by this and will not go through the door. This is each person's choice. Around the year 2000, I noticed we were receiving many messages from different sources to stay calm, be the calm in the middle of the storm. If this scenario is what will in fact happen, I can see the value in that advice, which is why I'm mentioning it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But if it does happen, at least you can think back to hearing about this if you haven't read this already. At around 2012, we received many messages from different sources to focus on what made us happy in our lives. Attend to your friends and family and create a happy environment for yourself and loved ones, and let the worries of the world be. If more people could do this, the positive, joyful energies created would ripple out and affect and influence others to do the same, and so on. I find it interesting that in this scenario, people will panic and go into fear. Haven't we been told so many times in countless ways that fear is like an epidemic on this planet, and we must do all we can to eliminate fear in ourselves? Simply put, it isn't real, but it can sure cause people to do irrational things, can it? One of my favorite quotes from the late Dolores Cannon is, "Fear is for entertainment purposes only." And so then I ask, can you give him a time frame when this will occur? Yes, it will occur the end of February, beginning of March. And this also fell right in line with what Alice and Co. got. So I just found all this interesting. Talking with the client afterwards, he said he was quite surprised with some of this information, especially the time frame. He told me before this session he was pretty certain this would happen on one of two dates, December 21st, 2017 or April 18th, 2018, or in 2019. So I was a little surprised as well, not just by the date, but by the description. I've heard many different scenarios, but never this one. Have you? He promises to keep me up to date, so on and so on. And that was Maryland. Let me see. I wanted to read another one that I found to be pretty interesting as well. This one had to do with Trump, and I was like, and keep in mind this, as you see here, came out in August 3rd of 2017. So the information, this was quite a while ago, and if I remember right, let's see, was that August, June, July? Okay, so this would go with Angela's. I guess that was the download she got in August, was the one about the Mandela effect. So I was thinking maybe it went with the one with the theater. That was so cool. Which she actually got some more information, but we'll do another video on that. That was really cool information. So here, Trump's role in the Ascension. Trump's role in the Ascension? I don't know. I found it at least to be pretty interesting with what's going on in the news now. I know back in August I would have just probably laughed thinking this is hilarious, but now I don't know. Let's see what's going on here. So Trump's role in the Ascension. I was very much looking forward to this client session. She had made it quite clear that she does not like vague or cryptic answers, does not like to have to guess at the meaning. The reason she is asking the questions is because she really wants answers, and she is not willing to accept anything less. This is a girl after my own heart, and yes, the session did indeed bring forth much information and healing for this client. It also brought forth some interesting information about Trump and his part in the long-awaited ascension. I want to note that I've never read or heard anything about the Ascension coming in 2001. Have any of you reading this heard that? I do remember the Y2K scare, but not the Ascension. In fact, I wasn't even aware of the Ascension until, lately. So this doesn't apply to me, but maybe some of you have. Which is why I say I just recently awoke. Because the Mandela effect sort of kicked me back to the spiritual side of things. I was aware of a lot of the false flags and things like that, but this whole ascension idea Before that, with me, it was just religious, the rapture and things like that. So, as with all information of this nature, it is important to understand that we are constantly changing our reality with the decisions we make. This ascension thing is a slippery fish. What was true yesterday may no longer be true now. In fact, there are some who believe it has already happened. The client's answers will be in uppercase. My questions are in upper and lowercase. And as you're following along here, I'll try to change up my voice so you don't have to wonder what's going on here. Okay, so the client's higher self had already started the conversation rolling about the shift of the earth, saying, even we don't know how this will end with this huge shift in the planet's consciousness. We don't even know because there's so many possibilities. And she responds, yeah, I've been told that before. The higher self continues, and she's in it until it ends. However that should happen. The practitioner, okay, so there's the idea that those of us who choose will just simply take the body with us into a different reality or dimension. They respond, yeah. I guess that's a possibility. The higher self says, yes, there's a possibility that the body could be killed, meaning the client's body, because of the shift. There's a possibility, but that is very unlikely. She will survive this. So the practitioner goes on, so when is the shift? Because she's wondering why we didn't have the ascension in 2001. The higher consciousness laughing, she continues, because they know she wants real answers. Because she thought, and then the higher self says, things had to change. The climate wasn't right. More and more advanced entities have migrated in now. That's what we were waiting for. So she says, okay, so what is originally planned for, what was it originally planned for 2001? And they answered at one point, yes. Ah, okay. So this is what she remembered. Yes. So was she a little angry when it didn't happen? Confused. Confused, yeah. And why hasn't it? If these more advanced entities have been coming in, why hasn't it happened already? I'm not sure. Now the client says, I'm not getting anything. So, and I just want to reiterate the way I said that this doesn't sound like she would not remember this happening. I'm just stating what is probably obvious. Okay. Can these beings that I'm talking to, her guides, higher self, is there someone there who can answer that question? Why hasn't it happened already? Please find someone who can answer the question. No, there's no answer, the client says once again, because she really does want answers to her questions today. Tell her to be patient, higher self laughter. Oh, she's not going to like that, higher self laughter. Pause. Then they continue, the higher self continues, we will tell her, said as though they would tell her sometime, not today. Can you tell her now because you've brought her here for this session? Client came from out of province, specifically so she can receive healing and answers, and she's ready to know why this ascension has not been completed already, and I think she's ready to know. Long pause. Is there something more that needs to be done? Longer pause. Has this ascension been put on hold? The answer is yes. Why did that happen? We're waiting for a shift in the human consciousness. It's looking hopeful. Can you talk about that shift? What does it look like? They answer, raised awareness, vibrating faster. Their energy vibrates faster. Okay, well, that's what we've been doing for a long time, constantly shifting higher and higher in frequency. There is a tipping point, they say. I've also heard about that for several years. How close are we to that tipping point? Long pause. During during Trump's reign. Reign? During Trump's reign it will happen? Um, that's when it's planned for at this point. Uh-huh. Well, why during Trump's reign in particular? Is there a reason for that? The awareness really shifts. And I found that pretty interesting. Because of him, yes, people are fed up. People really want this change. And is he's a catalyst. A catalyst for the change? Yes. So what he's doing, the decisions he hasn't made the decision yet. That will be crucial. Okay, so there's still something coming up. Yes. Is he aware of his decision? No, no, he's not aware. A decision about what? It will have to do with nuclear war, said hesitantly. So I'll let you be the judge of that. Okay, so a decision whether to enter into nuclear war or not? Yes. And does it matter what decision he makes as to whether the shift happens? Yes, he must say no. And what if he says yes? What will happen then? The earth will split into two entities, one that shifts and one that stays behind. Okay, and if he says no, what will happen? Then the whole earth shifts and it doesn't split. The whole earth. There is nothing left. There is no second earth left behind. So she says, so everyone and all the entities on the earth will shift whether they even know about the shift or are ready for it? Yes. And that's why. That's why we need all these higher energy beings and entities here, because their energy helps those that don't have high enough energy to make the shift. Now, what if, I guess if the earth does split, the higher energy beings, will they go with the new earth? Yes. And then the lower energy beings will stay behind with the other earth, and there will be two earths, and the higher earth will be aware of the lower earth, but the lower earth will not be aware of the higher earth. And this gets back into a lot what we heard with a lot of what we heard with Dolores Cannon. They continue, okay, but if the entire earth shifts, then what happens to the people who aren't aware at all? Um, some will die and some will shift, taking their bodies with them. It all depends where they are at vibrationally. And if they die, they just go back to source. Okay, and what will the earth be like then with those who have made the shift with the physical bodies? It will be brighter, more light, brighter. Greed will be gone. The lust for money and gold will be gone. The cruelty to others will be gone. The cruelty to animals will be gone. The cruelty to earth will be gone. People will live morally and they will be good to each other and the animals and the earth. And we would like the whole earth to ascend, and we would rather see that than to see it split. Because I've often thought, when I heard about the splitting of the earth, I've often thought that it should be one and all, everyone goes. Yes, and that is preferred. And that's why she's here, to ensure that happens. Yes, but it all depends on Trump's decision. Yes, that's what we're waiting for. And it will be sometime within his reign. And then she kind of questions reign again, because that's kind of an odd word to use, a reign, and it's not really appropriate, but I guess it is from their point of view. Is Trump placed here for that reason? Yes. He is a pawn in a sense, in that he is being used, but not without his consent. We always ensure we have people's consent. That's the most important. But he is suspicious, but not fully enlightened. I was going to ask, is he a high vibrational being? He is. People would be surprised, but he is. Okay. And he volunteered for this? Oh, very much so. He was one of the ones excited to do this. So is he a high and carries as much knowledge as Sally, not the client's real name. He's very, very experienced. He has a very high energy level. He vibrates very high. Because many question the decisions he's been making. Yes, that's why he is perfect for the job. He is not suspected. So, what difference does that make whether he's suspected or not? It allows him to do what he needs to do without other forces influencing him. Can you explain that? There are entities on Earth who have their own agendas and want to influence him to follow their agendas, and if Trump played his cards openly, he would have a far more difficult time doing what it is he came here to do. But by playing his cards close to the chest, by throwing people off the scent with his decisions, allows him more latitude, more freedom to do what it is he needs to do. Okay, so it doesn't just cause frustration and division in the country and the world. It's all temporary. There's a greater good. All right. Well, we've often suspected that, but then we also turn around and question some of the decisions that he's making. It's all to throw people off his scent. It's a distraction. All right. So he's quite a major player this time. Yes, very much. And that's what a synchronicity with his name. If this is all true, and his name is Trump, like a Trump card, that's just it's hilarious to me. All right, well, that kind of explains why Ascension isn't done already in a roundabout way. Is there anything you would like to add to that for Sally's understanding? Be patient. It will happen. It will happen, but we want the entire Earth to go. We do not want two Earths split. We do not want two Earths, split. Later during the after session talk, the client said the higher self was very careful and deliberate in choosing the word rain. I questioned it myself, but got caught up in other questions and didn't remember to ask about that word. So even they thought that was strange. But she did, one little side note to this. She did actually say that she also said the entire time she was talking about this, she was hearing the number 85 spoken repeatedly. She didn't say anything about this during the session. I wish she had. We tried to figure out what it could mean. 85 months wouldn't be during Trump's reign unless he was reelected for a second term. 85 days would put it in late October this year, which now we see has already passed. So she's hoping to hear back if she receives any more clarity on the issue. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, you can go read through this yourself. There's some other ones too. You can go read the first one to the update, which was the first one I read. There was one before that. But I just found it strange that I had that ringing in the ear. And something else, just before the ringing, when it said blinded by the white light and the white fog, there was something strangely familiar about that. I can't really tell you what it was, but it had kind of a deja vu-ish feeling about it, but more like a memory. It wasn't quite like I remember going through those exact motions at the time and reading it, but something about the blinding light, not being able to see your hand in front of your face, and just everything being white was just oddly familiar to me. So I don't know what it was from. I don't know if something in my sleep that I experienced or something as a child. Maybe I was blinded by the sun. Who knows? I don't know. But it just felt familiar. So I just thought I'd share that when I heard it. And so yeah, I just felt like maybe I should share this. So with that, I will leave you all. Sorry it didn't come through today on the live stream, but everything happens for a reason. Everyone still got to chat for a while, and I got to join in with you. It was really a fun time. So until next time, have a good one.